Hello everybody, welcome to this week's episode of News from Normies. I am Millennial Meditations, your host, as always, and I will be bringing you a week's worth of news in a relatively short time frame. Hopefully this one doesn't go too long, but we shall see. If you're watching for the first time, thanks for joining, and as always, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and share with your normie friends, as those are the people who need to hear this stuff the most. Or if you want to share it with your liberal coworker or aunt or whoever just to piss them off, I appreciate that too. So you can follow me on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, and follow me on Twitch if you want some more gaming content. Plan on doing another stream tomorrow as I record this. So come join the fun if that's something you're into. With that being said, let's get into the news. So, this week, Bill and Hillary Clinton were subpoenaed to testify before Congress on Jeffrey Epstein. They have refused and may be slapped with contempt of Congress, which is what people like Steve Bannon were hit with, although that was a completely separate thing than Jeffrey Epstein at that time. I'll get into that in a second. And so yeah, hopefully this happens, but we'll see. And while I largely disagree with him on a lot of things, I actually agree with Jon Stewart on this take.
First up, John.
Yeah.
Bill and Hillary Clinton have announced that they won't comply with the subpoena from the House Oversight Committee's investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. Do you think that they should comply?
I absolutely do. But why should they comply if the Department of Justice is not complying with releasing the files? Like, is compliance a kind of specialized individual indigenous opportunity, or should it be universal? I mean, the Department of Justice has subpoenaed them to testify in the Jeffrey Epstein case while not complying with releasing the files. So how does that comport in any? But do I personally think they should comply? Abso-fucking-lutely. Absolutely. And if they've got something to hide or nefarious, like, yes, we should know about all this. This is bonkers how long this is going on.
And we have only seen such a fraction. What I think I was reading, it's like 2 million files still have to come out.
It's 1% is what I've seen. Yeah, like that we've seen.
And the casual nature in these emails are like, hey, can you get me an Indian and a redhead? Like, they're just casually, is literally like they're ordering from, Uber Eats.
And the spelling errors. It's humiliating.
The grammar.
That would bother Jillian the most.
These people, you think they're titans of the world, and they can't. No. I mean, can't type on a BlackBerry.
The grammar police have also indicted.
The grammar police are doing more here than.
No, I think that's wise, but absolutely they should comply, and the Department of Justice should comply. And these victims of this heinous case should finally get some of the justice and peace that they deserve. For God's sakes. Fucking thing.
So, as I have said time and time again, and I think that a lot of people, like everyday people who pay attention to the news, think, I wish all the files would just come out, and that way we could stop talking about this. But there are likely a lot of politicians and big-time donors that are on that list, and I don't think Trump wants the entire governmental system to collapse. However, I would like to see all those people that are on that list in prison if they did anything nefarious or illegal. But sadly, that will likely never happen. And I guess Steve Bannon was working on some sort of documentary about Jeffrey Epstein before he committed suicide, and has like 18 hours worth of video footage about this guy, and that stuff has never come out. So why? I would love to know the answer to that too, although I can probably guess why. And still kind of staying on Epstein a little bit, President Trump was touring a Ford F-150 plant in Michigan this past week to showcase how American manufacturing is making a comeback. And while many people cheered and greeted President Trump with a warm welcome, one employee there wasn't very happy about it. So if you couldn't hear that guy, he was yelling pedophile protector at the president, with Trump responding by mouthing "fuck you" back at him and flipping him off. So I know that I'm sick of all this Epstein stuff, and I can only imagine that President Trump is even more fed up with it. But at the same time, there are some reasonable questions to be had there. Now, moving on to Minnesota. We're going to stay in Minnesota for a large chunk of this going forward. Another ICE shooting happened in Minneapolis, but this time it was an illegal alien from Venezuela who was shot. The ICE agent attempted to conduct a traffic stop when the Venezuelan man, who was later identified as Julio Cesar Sosa Celis, I think is how you pronounce that, long name. Anyway, he ran from law enforcement. The agent then chased after Celis when he entered a nearby home. Other people then came out of their homes and began attacking the ICE agent with a shovel and a broom handle when he fired one shot, striking Celis in the leg. Now, despite this not being a fatal shooting, riots have been ongoing since the shooting of Renee Nicole Good, with at least one rifle being stolen from a law enforcement car.
Almost there.
Oh, wow. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah, so there were many, many laws broken in that clip right there that I can't even begin to talk about them all. So keep this in mind too, next time Democrats want to lecture people about gun control and stuff like that, when their rioters literally just stole a rifle from law enforcement. And I also highly doubt the guy with the face tattoos will do the right thing and give the gun back to law enforcement to prevent any harm from coming from a stolen rifle in the hands of a lunatic. There's only one solution here, but I'll get to that in a minute. Tom Homan recently appeared on Fox News to discuss the shooting of Renee Nicole Good and all of the aftermath from it.
Is it time for the Insurrection Act, or would that just add gasoline to the fire?
Well, I'm not going to get ahead of the president on that, but it's certainly an option, a viable option. So actually, I'll be meeting with the president tomorrow. So, you know, I think it's something that needs to be on the table, because this cannot continue. There is going to be more bloodshed. I'm telling you. I hope I'm wrong, but I haven't been yet. There's going to be more bloodshed if something hasn't done.
It's going to spread, and most Minnesotans, by the way, and I want to say this tonight because folks have reached out to me, support ICE. It's this radical group of anarchists, and when you see them close up, you really get a sense of who they are. It's this crowd, a lot of them paid, a lot of them working, double shifts of protest against the rest of the state, which are reasonable, common sense, peaceful people of all backgrounds, including immigrant backgrounds. They don't like what's happened in the Twin Cities, and we're going to expose more about Jacob Frey in a moment. But Tom, I think most people are good people. They want the bad people out, and they want some peace in their neighborhoods.
And we're going to get the bad people out. And as far as the organization, everybody that's planning these protests, giving these people weapons and funding this, again, justice is coming, because we're deep diving that whole thing.
So I know he didn't say it in this clip, but Tom Homan has stated before that if local police departments cooperated with ICE, CBP, and DHS in regards to, deporting illegal aliens, situations like what happened to Renee Nicole Good wouldn't happen. What's supposed to happen is if an illegal alien is brought to a city or county jail, they are then supposed to contact ICE or DHS and then, a federal agent would come, pick that person up, and get them the hell out of the country. Well, in these Democrat cities and states, that ain't happening. So that's why situations are occurring where ICE has to use a little bit more force to do their job. And plenty of police departments and sheriff's departments have been under scrutiny for this. But Sheriff Richard K. Jones of Butler County, Ohio, recently received some pushback for how inmates are dealt with in his jail, and had a response to those claims.
How's everybody doing today? I'm Butler County, Ohio Sheriff Rick Jones. I'm here today to talk to you about the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. These 3 state reps, one of them's a state senator in Ohio, 2 of them are state reps. All I can say is, you can see their names up on the screen. The bar must be awful low to get elected where they're from. They're so ignorant they can't even use the website to look at what our population is. Our population, they said we're 250 beds over. We're overcrowded. We feed them terrible. The heat and air is terrible. We don't put a chocolate on their pillow every day and tell them we love them. That's your state representatives and your state senators. I refer to them in this video as the 3 Stooges. So here's what I'm going to tell you. For the Stooges, everybody else understands. We're not 250 over. We're 200 under. I can do 200 more prisoners. And as far as the Wardenburger, you get that in jail when you get in trouble. The state prison system, the jails use the Wardenburger. So listen, we do too. It's approved by a dietitian. It's probably the most nutritious meal we serve. So you don't like it. It's not your mommy or your daddy fixing your meal. It's jail. You only get that when you get in trouble in jail. You want to fight, you want to cause problems, you get the Wardenburger and you get all the water you can drink. And it's got fiber in it. So you figure fiber's good for you. A lot of people struggle to get fiber. You come to my jail, you get in trouble, you're going to get the Wardenburger. The jail has regulated temperatures. If the temperature, the furnace is broke like in your house, we fix it. If the air is broke, we fix it. You don't get a nice suit to wear in jail. You come to Butler County, you get a jumpsuit with stripes. You get a number across. We put people out on the highway. They work on the highway picking up trash. Sorry, we hurt your feelings. But these state reps, this is what they do. They're all Democrat. They're all up in northern Ohio. They get online, and they're probably whining and crying because I have illegals in my jail. I have 400 illegals in my jail. Don't come to this country illegal. If you do, sorry, you're going to come to jail. We hold ICE prisoners here. I have for 20 years here at Butler County. I went through 5 presidents. President Obama held the most illegals in my jail and in the United States and deported more than President Trump. This is all about President Trump and the sheriff of Butler County. Now, you seem like you're listening to what I say. I hope the 3 reps are seeing this. If you live in their community, you should really be calling them thinking, what the hell are you doing down here in my business? This is what I do. I do the business of what you come here illegally, you'll go to jail. I don't give you your mommy and your grandma's meal. You don't come here and get special little underwear and little headphones you can wear while you're in jail. Don't come to jail. If you come here illegally, we will house you. You will get 3 meals. You can see a doctor. You can see a dentist. You get a little TV in your cell. And listen, it's not what you want at home. Don't come here. And remember, President Obama deported more people in 8 years than President Trump did. I know that because I was in the deportation business. So listen, pay attention to you 3 reps. And if you need me to give you a tutorial, I will. They look at this stuff and they're so hot and so angry. All they see is red flames. They're going to get Sheriff Jones. He's a dumbass. He doesn't know what he's doing. I just got inspected by the state. December the 22nd. I've been inspected by the state. I get inspected by the marshals. I get inspected by ICE. We have the grand jury goes through. We bring people through our jail all the time. It's one of the cleanest, most organized, and safest places to come in the United States. I've been in this business for 39 years. Now, I wanted to address this issue so you can see what your state representatives, wherever part of the state you're from, especially these three, like I said, they're like the three stooges. I don't know how they got elected. I don't know how they keep their office, but I'm not afraid of you. Good luck and have a nice day.
Yeah, so this is why Richard Jones is now on his 6th term as sheriff of Butler County, because he just doesn't take shit from anybody. So, make no mistake, those who are pushing back on deporting illegal aliens do not love this country. They prioritize foreigners over the people in their own country because they have this entitled mindset that everybody deserves a share, and that's not true. Okay? That's not true, because the people that were born and raised here and have been for generations don't get the same kind of free stuff that people who walk across the border illegally get, you know? So I'm going to stop there before I rant anymore. And that's a pretty damn good segue into the next story here. The Biden administration may have paid out $84.6 million due to errors in housing assistance in Minnesota. Weird how fraud in Minnesota is being uncovered now after the Biden administration's been out. Now, I understand the frustration with ICE and some of their tactics right now, but people should also be very pissed about the massive amounts of fraud in the immigrant communities across the country. As I just said, you know, people that have been here for generations upon generations go to work and get half their paycheck taxed between income, between federal, city, state income taxes, and all the other bullshit we're taxed on just to have our tax dollars handed to people who want a free lunch. It's bullshit, and everybody should be pissed about it. Now, I have largely defended ICE and doing their jobs, but this time I have to criticize them a little bit because this seems a little excessive. A 21-year-old protester was shot in the eye at point-blank range by ICE.
What can you tell us about your injuries now and the prognosis? Will you be blind in that eye for life?
From what I've heard the doctors say and everyone else, yes, I will be blind for life. They said my globe was ruptured. I had my lower lid was cut up, and they had to take skin from my temple to fix it. There's a lot to it. I don't remember all the things that they said. I have fractures in my skull that they can't fix, and I can't sneeze or cough because it's dangerous too. I remember also when I shot, there was pepper in it, and I had pepper down my throat. It made it hard to breathe for a long time. They pulled a piece of plastic the size of a nickel out of my eye. They said I had shards of metal, glass, and plastic all throughout my eye and behind my eye and in my skull. And they also said that I had a piece of shrapnel metal about a few millimeters away from my carotid artery. And they said it was a miracle I survived, because if it got any closer, if it hit that, I would have died that night.
Totally blind right now? You see nothing out of the eye?
Nothing out of this eye. Yeah, it's black.
So while I do side with ICE in the Renee Good shooting, albeit tragic that somebody lost their life, this one seems like it was a little excessive. Now, I don't know any more details than what was shown in this video. I'm not sure if this protester was previously chucking rocks or frozen water bottles at ICE. If that is the case, then I will stand corrected. But shooting somebody who was not armed with a weapon and did not attack ICE in the face at point-blank range, causing them permanent blindness, seems excessive. So, yeah, again, if I'm wrong on that one, I will correct the statement in my next video. So, let me know down in the comments below. If I'm wrong, then I'll admit it. Unlike, you know, the corporate news, CNN, MSNBC, those guys who never do wrong. They're never wrong. Now, I need to talk about President Trump himself here because I think a lot of people, like myself, are tired of the talk and no action. President Trump has threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act in Minnesota, as seen here on Truth Social, where he said, quote, "If the corrupt politicians of Minnesota don't obey the law and stop the professional agitators and insurrectionists from attacking the patriots of ICE, who are only trying to do their job, a very fine job, I will institute the Insurrection Act, which many presidents have done before me, and quickly put an end to the travesty that is taking place in that once great state. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President DJT," end quote. And forgive me for a poor Trump impression. I'm working on it. However, at the time of this recording, the Insurrection Act has not been instituted, and riots are still going on, as far as I know, at the time of this recording, in Minnesota. So, just like Iran, President Trump needs to stop talking and start doing. Trump should have done this a week ago and prevented more riots from taking place. Also, I think, and this is just my opinion, that those vomit beams, or whatever they're called, that were used in the raid should be deployed, followed up with water cannons to clean up the street. And before anybody says that's racist, well, it's all white people out there protesting, and from the left's own logic, you can't be racist toward white people. So, checkmate. Which, by the way, those hypersonic or whatever those things were called in the Maduro raid sound an awful lot like the weapons used in Stranger Things to keep Eleven from using her powers. Weird. A little weird. Now, moving on. Governor Tim Walz and Mayor Jacob Frey are possibly facing federal charges.
Person familiar tells me that Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and the Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey are both being investigated by the Justice Department. And a grand jury has issued subpoenas for both of them, though it doesn't appear that either have been served yet. What we do know tonight, as we come on the air, is that the Justice Department investigation centers on possible obstruction of federal law enforcement. Both the FBI Director, Kash Patel, and the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, were in Minneapolis today. And just a short time ago, Todd Blanche was on Fox News explaining, or attempting to explain, why the Justice Department is taking this action.
When the governor or the mayor threaten our officers, when the mayor suggests that he's encouraging citizens to call 911 when they see ICE officers, that is very close to a federal crime.
And that's coming from CNN, so you know it's true. Yeah, just like the Insurrection Act, these two should have been brought in a week ago or longer ago, but I suppose it's better late than never. But again, I'm tired of the talk. Start making arrests. Like, if Nick Shirley, a 23-year-old with a camera, can uncover the fraud, there is no reason that the FBI shouldn't have been on top of this beforehand. Like, what are we doing? And there's no way that Kash Patel didn't know that this stuff was going on either. I mean, he's been the head of the FBI for coming up on a year now. Like, there had to have been something come in by that point. Yeah. Less talk, more action. Next story. President Trump is ending the temporary protected status of all Somalians living in the United States. Now, from what I've seen, this is going to affect just under 3,000 people, which is very, very small considering the whole population of the entire country. However, it is another step in cleaning up the fraud that is in Minnesota, my home state of Ohio, and other states where this type of fraud is taking place. And according to the National Review, quote, Somali migrants living in the U.S. under TPS, temporary protected status, have until March 17th to leave the country, end quote. So, don't know if people will be picked up by ICE after that point, but we'll see. Yeah. what a freaking mess. I really hope that within the next couple weeks we see Tim Walz and Jacob Frey, whatever, Jacob Gay, in handcuffs. So, because of the deportations that have happened in Minnesota, it is speculated that Minnesota may lose a congressional seat in D.C. because their population is decreasing. Which, shocker, when you import, everyone from Somalia, and then they get sent back, you lose congressional seats. And to those who keep asking, people on the right, is this what you voted for? Is this what you voted for? I say, yes, this is exactly what I voted for. Because Democrat states like Minnesota, California, and New York have imposed their shitty ways on the rest of the country because they have essentially falsified numbers of people in their states. So the less representation that Democrat states have because of this, the better we all are. Just saying. Also, I think the census needs to be changed, and representation in DC should be based off of the amount of citizens, not the amount of people. I mean, it's just common sense. Now, because of Iran, President Trump has, at this time, not intervened in Iran that I know of. Several nations in the area urged Trump to postpone any military action, fearing widespread conflict should the United States make some sort of military strike. While protests are ongoing in Iran, people are also protesting outside of the Iranian embassy in London, and this is how police responded.
Wow. Yeah, hit everyone. These are all guys. Get away from me! I'm feeling. Oh! Get back from me! Say back! Get back from me! Get back from me! Do it now! I'm a journalist. Get back from me! Do it now! Calm down! Calm down! I'm a journalist and I do what you're doing. I'm filming what I do. What you're doing. Oh my God! Get back! Stay away from me! What? Get back over the other side! I'm just filming. I'm just filming. I'm journalist. I'm journalist and I'm filming.
Stay away.
I'm journalist and I'm filming.
Keep on walking before you get arrested.
I would say that I'm shocked, but that'd be a lie. Because we know that Europe has allowed, everyone from the Middle East to just invade their countries. So, yeah, it doesn't surprise me that any kind of criticism of Islam in London is being met with police force and arresting protesters. Don't forget that the UK arrests people for making posts on Facebook that aren't even like direct threats to anybody, but just like, hey, why do we have all these people here? That would get you arrested in the UK. So, yeah. Now, Venezuela. President Trump says the United States will maintain a presence in Venezuela while rebuilding takes place.
We are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. And it has to be judicious because that's what we're all about. We want peace, liberty, and justice for the great people of Venezuela, and that includes many from Venezuela that are now living in the United States and want to go back to their country. It's their homeland. We can't take a chance that somebody else takes over Venezuela that doesn't have the good of the Venezuelan people in mind. We've had decades of that. We're not going to let that happen. We're there now, and what people don't understand, but they understand as I say this, we're there now, but we're going to stay until such time as the proper transition can take place. So we're going to stay until such time as we're going to run it, essentially, until such time as a proper transition can take place.
Now, I've seen a lot of people say, this isn't America first, it's all for Venezuela, da-da-da-da-da, but that's completely wrong. Dealing with Venezuela like this, dealing with Venezuela the way that Trump has, will have enormous benefits for America and Venezuela, primarily because of the oil, but also overall peace. Like, when you take out the guy who's sending in drugs to the country, then, you know, that shit should stop, or at least come, you know, be curbed. So hopefully some sort of peaceful change can take place in Iran too. Now, President Trump is pushing for a 10% cap on credit card interest rates for 1 year.
Well, then they're in violation of the law. Very severe things. No, I want a cap on credit card interest rates because, you know, some of them are 28, almost 30%. And that the people don't know they're paying 30%. The people out there, you know, they're working and they have no idea that they're paying 30%. No way. We're putting a 1-year cap at 10%, and that's it. They know it. They've really abused the public. The credit card companies have totally abused it. I'm not going to let it happen.
Now, I've heard arguments from both sides on this, not left or right, but for or against, and I can see how this could have long-term harm. I mean, this is essentially price fixing, which never works. And when you put a cap on things like that, credit card companies and banks will loan less money going forward, so you're constricting the money supply. However, I could see this also helping some people pay off credit card debt and, you know, move forward financially. So I'm not entirely sure how this is going to shake out because, you know, the United States population has a ton of credit card debt. And on top of, you know, car payments and mortgages and all the taxes we pay, it seems like for many people, they cannot get out of this never-ending cycle. So hopefully this helps, but also price fixing doesn't work and has a long history of not working. Speaking of monetary policy, forgive me, I needed a sip of water. Fed Chair Jerome Powell is being investigated for the costs of renovating Federal Reserve buildings.
Good evening. On Friday, the Department of Justice served the Federal Reserve with grand jury subpoenas, threatening a criminal indictment related to my testimony before the Senate Banking Committee last June. That testimony concerned in part a multi-year project to renovate historic Federal Reserve office buildings. I have deep respect for the rule of law and for accountability in our democracy. No one, certainly not the chair of the Federal Reserve, is above the law. But this unprecedented action should be seen in the broader context of the administration's threats and ongoing pressure. This new threat is not about my testimony last June or about the renovation of the Federal Reserve buildings. It is not about Congress's oversight role. The Fed, through testimony and other public disclosures, made every effort to keep Congress informed about the renovation project. Those are pretexts. The threat of criminal charges is a consequence of the Federal Reserve setting interest rates based on our best assessment of what will serve the public, rather than following the preferences of the president. This is about whether the Fed will be able to continue to set interest rates based on evidence and economic conditions, or whether instead monetary policy will be directed by political pressure or intimidation. I have served at the Federal Reserve under 4 administrations, Republicans and Democrats alike. In every case, I have carried out my duties without political fear or favor, focused solely on our mandate of price stability and maximum employment. Public service sometimes requires standing firm in the face of threats. I will continue to do the job the Senate confirmed me to do, with integrity and a commitment to serving the American people. Thank you.
So regardless of what he may or may not have done, this to me seems like a dirty way of Trump getting Jerome Powell out. Trump has not liked Powell for quite some time and wanted him gone yesterday. So yeah, that I could see that happening. Now, I thought we were largely done with the discussion of transgender people in sports and stuff, but no. The Supreme Court heard arguments for a case out of West Virginia in regards to transgender women in girls' sports. Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson had great words of wisdom on this case.
You have the overarching classification. You know, everybody has to be play on the team that is the same as their sex at birth. But then you have a gender identity definition that is operating within that, meaning a distinction, meaning that for cisgender girls, they can play consistent with their gender identity. For transgender girls, they can't.
So I think that, okay, so as to the part about your ability to pass over from boy to girl,
yes,
you can go from one way but not the other. I want to be clear that BPJ is not challenging that specific classification. I think that's important to start with. But I think, if anything, that's useful evidence as to the lack of a transgender-based discrimination, because if the legislature were just sort of unsettled by the notion of transgender athletes, I think the answer would have been to then bar them from passing over in any way consistent with their gender.
I appreciate that. I guess I was getting at the what I understood the Chief Justice to be trying to discuss, which was this notion that this is really just about the definition of who we accept that you can separate boys and girls, and we are now looking at the definition of a girl, and we're saying only people who were girl assigned at birth qualify.
And
I don't know about you, but I feel like I just lost brain cells listening to her speak. I saw a graph, I should have put it in here, but I saw a graph that showed the amount of words each Supreme Court justice used in like their initial arguments on cases, and Ketanji Brown Jackson was number one with over 11,000, where Clarence Thomas was at the bottom with like 89. So yeah, it really shows that the more people talk on one subject, the less they actually know. Now, Josh Hawley was questioning a doctor on the very same subject, and I'll let you listen to that one yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since you bring it up, why don't we just start there? Dr. Verma, I wasn't sure I understood your answer to Senator Moody a moment ago. Do you think that men can get pregnant?
I hesitated there because I wasn't sure where the conversation was going or what the goal was. I mean, I do take care of patients with different identities. I take care of many women. I take care of people with different identities. And so that's where I paused. I think, yeah, I wasn't sure where you were going with that.
Well, the goal is just the truth. So can men get pregnant?
Again, the reason I paused there is I'm not really sure what the goal of the question is.
The goal is just to establish a biological reality. You just said a moment ago that science and evidence should control, not politics. Absolutely. So let's just test that proposition. Can men get pregnant?
I take care of people with many identities, but
can men get pregnant?
Many women that can get pregnant. I do take care of people that don't identify as women. That
can men get pregnant?
Again, as I'm saying,
let me just remind you what you testified to a moment ago. Science and evidence should control, not politics. Absolutely. So can men get pregnant? You're a doctor, I think.
Science and evidence should guide medicine.
Do science and evidence tell us that men can get pregnant? Biological men, can they get pregnant?
I also think yes/no questions like this are a political tool. And
no, yes/no questions are about the truth, doctor. Let's not make a mockery of this proceeding. This is about science and evidence, and I'm asking you. You know, the United States Supreme Court just heard arguments yesterday at great length on this question. This is not a hypothetical question. This is not theoretical. It affects real people in their real lives. And you're here as an expert, called by the other side as an expert. And you've been telling us that you that you follow, right, you're a doctor, and you follow the science and the evidence. So I just want to know, based on the science, can men get pregnant? That's a yes or no question. It really is, I think.
I think you're trying to reduce the complexity of a lot.
I'm not. I'm trying to get, it's not complex. I'm trying to get to an answer, and I'm trying to test, frankly, your veracity as a medical professional and as a scientist. Can men get pregnant?
I think you're also conflating
This is
male
extraordinary.
female with
No, I'm not conflating male and female. They're two different things. There's biological men and there's biological women. And I want to know, can men get pregnant?
what you were talking about is biological.
You're not going to answer my question, it sounds like.
Biological males.
This isn't hard, doctor. Can men get pregnant? Yes or no?
Again, I would be more than happy to have a conversation with you that is not coming from a place of trying to be polarized and push.
I'm not trying to be polarizing. I'm trying to ask, I think it is extraordinary that we are here in a hearing about science and about women. And for the record, it's women who get pregnant, not men.
It also.
We are here about.
Yeah. If this lady is your doctor, you should find another doctor. Seriously, like, it's a very simple question. Men cannot get pregnant. It's literally as simple as that. And finally, a friend of mine sent me this on Instagram the other day, but I had to go digging through X to find it. I'm not sure when or where this protest was taking place, but a reporter asked one of the protesters here a very, very simple question.
What's your message to straight white conservative men?
Listen to minorities, listen to women, listen to people who are trying to educate you. Don't live in ignorance just because it's easy.
What is a woman?
That sounds like a loaded.
Yeah, so just absolutely turning the left's argument against them is very funny. And it's also not a hard question to answer. Outside of very, very rare genetic syndromes, women are adults with 2 X chromosomes. Literally not that hard to answer. You know, trust the science. Science has dictated that for a long time. And finally, a hospital in New York is accusing a nurses union of protecting drunk and stoned staffers as thousands of employees go on strike. One, I didn't know that there was a nurses union like that. And two, I don't think that people should be coming to work drunk or high, like, especially when you're dealing with medical care of people who need it. But look at me, Mr. Common Sense over here. And if anyone was receiving medical care at that hospital and suffered any kind of, mistreatment, they or their families should sue because of that. Also, in New York City, Mayor Zohran Mamdani called out President Trump after a city council employee was picked up by ICE, as seen in this post on X. Mamdani wrote, quote, "I am outraged to hear a New York City council employee was detained in Nassau County by federal immigration officials at a routine immigration appointment. This is an assault on our democracy, on our city, and our values. I am calling for his immediate release and will continue to monitor the situation." End quote. Now, what he failed to mention there is that the man who was detained, named Rafael Andres Rubio Bojorquez, the employee who was detained, overstayed his visa from 2017 and had criminal charges, including assault. So once again, the Democrat Party, or in this case the Communist Party, cares more about foreigners than they do you. This is why I can never in good conscience vote for the Democrat Party, because they are essentially communists. So that's all I got for this week. Hopefully you learned something new. Please make sure you share with some normies in your life who care more about, their sports team than they do what politicians are doing with their tax money. And make sure you're subscribed. So with that being said, I will see you all next time, and take care.